Like, would you rather block with this tiny thing or your entire arm? Oh, yo boy, Ip Man's in town! Let's go! I thought this movie totally holds up. And they got What is up, guys? John here, aka Bruce Lee. I'm a kickboxing teacher and Muay Thai fighter here in Canada. We're reacting to Ip Man for the finale today, fighting the Masters. Let's get into it.
Understand, I will go all out. Come on, then.
So, we'll be breaking this reaction down today, guys, based on two criteria: how realistic the martial arts moves are, and how entertaining the scene is as a whole. Let's see what they do. Ooh. Let's back it up again. This is such a quick scene. So the guy lands a really nice stiff jab, and I think this is like one of the main criticisms of like some of the traditional martial arts. And when I say traditional, you guys, I just mean like Asian, like kind of like, let's say kung fu style, or like certain, you know, it kind of like gives you the idea of like anything where like there's like a long flowy motions. I think one of the biggest criticisms that they would take nowadays, like especially with the Western influence, that like, you know, in boxing when you throw your punch, it's as straight as possible to the point, whereas in some of the traditional kung fu styles or katas, there's a lot more winding motions, and this is exactly what happens when you have like, it takes too long to get to the target, whereas the other guy, he's like bladed stance, he goes right in with a jab, right in with a side kick. That's definitely one of those like impracticalities of some, not all traditional martial arts, not all kung fu, but some of them that we found when we started doing like those we'll start getting Western influence. There's a good leap from him. Nice. They're clearly trying to make this guy seem strong. I believe the one in white is a karate master, for the sake of the movie. I like that. Let's back up a little bit, you guys, to where this fight starts. The other criticism here I found with some, again, I'm just making a generalization here, guys, from like stuff that I saw or read about like growing up, about some of these like kung fu styles. And honestly, there's still a big debate about this now. Like, Xiaodong is still challenging kung fu masters now to be like this, like he's an MMA fighter. He basically, I'll try to find like a photo or maybe a clip if I can, I don't know. He'll basically goes around challenging kung fu masters. He's an MMA fighter, and he just brings like practical like boxing, Muay Thai, and Jiu-Jitsu into the ring, and just challenges kung fu masters and tries to show them up. And I think one of the biggest criticisms about some of these kung fu or traditional styles is that they don't really spar. Like they kind of do a lot of demonstrations, a lot of choreography, but they're not really taking a lot of like actual direct hits. Now when you look at like boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, not all, but some of the Taekwondo competitions that you train, like and training, like we're taking actual hits all the time. We're training our body to take body punches. You can't train your jaw to be stronger, but you're getting ready to, you're prepping yourself to take actual hits towards the head. And when you don't build up that conditioning in the forearms and the fingers and the knuckles and the body, you'll start to see here. When this guy who's using some kind of kung fu is hitting the karate master, it's not necessarily doing a lot of damage, but when the karate master hits him, it's very impactful. Now some of that is he might be stronger, but it kind of gives you an impression that he's more conditioned. So you see how he's just trying to punch right through it, and I love this scene right here. So the guy brings a karate master to go down for like the classic like break a brick kind of karate chop, right? And the guy just goes up like this to defend himself. Very instinctual. Now, one of the biggest criticisms I've taken on this channel is talking about how, not criticisms, but like one of the things that is a big point of contention is that like I always like point out in movies where they're blocking like full-on roundhouse kicks with the shin using just their forearm, like bang, or like just their hand, they're like block, 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 block. And I'm like, yeah, blocking kicks like that doesn't really work. And usually in the comments someone will say like, oh, it does work, condition your forearms, condition your hands, which is true. You can absolutely condition any part of your body with a bone kind of exposed to take hits or to take some impact. However, what I mean to say in those situations that like it's not always practical. So yes, if a roundhouse kick or in this case a karate chop is coming at me, let's say the downward trajectory, I can put up my arm just like this and brace it right here. But it hurts. Like even when it's conditioned, you're still taking some damage to that limb. It's much better trying to dissipate the force into more points of contact or larger surface area. This guy does not do that. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If so, please leave a like because it means a lot to me and supports the channel big time. And please consider subscribing so I can hang out with you again. For now, let's get back to the video. Yeah, this guy does not do that. So, I the second, yeah, like that. He goes like this. And gets pushed back. I think let's see if he has any reaction. Yeah, you see how he's grabbing his arm here? Like, of course. Like, the guy has the initiative. The guy has the momentum. And he's coming down like this. And then you'll only have... Like, you look at my forearm, right? Like, would you rather block with this tiny thing or your entire arm, right? So it's just kind of like one of those things where I think they actually represented this super well for the movie. Of like kind of like these practical training or like direct sparring training versus some, again, not all, but some of these kung fu masters who maybe they weren't really focused on that.
Lady, I'll show you no mercy.
We don't know if the American guy understands you. She's doing really good staying in the guard actually. She's got good speed. Yeah. Another thing there, right? Whereas Master Chang, I guess, she's landing hits and it's not really doing that much damage to him because I think the guy's like his ribs, his body, his arms, yeah, for the sake of the character, they're just more conditioned, which makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, you can condition yourself not to be flinchy or to be able to kind of brace these punches a lot better. And the other thing I'm worried about here for Master Chang is that if, you know, being smaller, lighter, being female, like, those can be disadvantages on a one-on-one fight with someone strong like this guy. What I'm worried about here is that, like what she could have is a speed advantage, but she doesn't look that much faster than him, which is unfortunate. Yeah, because, like, when he makes hits, they're way more impactful. Good blocks from him. She's starting to get through. Nice. I like that trip, actually. Let's back up for a second. I just learned how to do this, actually. When she gets a punch through, he parries the punch and somewhat controls the wrist, gets his other arm underneath the shoulder. And what I found here is that, like, any minor sweep to the leg can actually trip him down exactly like this. Yeah, I actually like that move. I just learned it. Oh, yo, boy, Ip Man's in town. Let's go. Oh, wait. What? Okay, the next part 2 or whatever is here. Nice. I want to back that up for 2 seconds here. What I love about Ip Man, that Donnie Yen portrays here, is that when you're a really high-level fighter and like you're in a situation like this, the minimum amount of motion the least you can move that gets you out of the way is the perfect amount. So he barely dodges this and just counters him with kind of like a knuckle to the groin. But it's just like that nice little slip there. Like a lot of people in a situation, they completely back up or like kind of like move their whole body to the side. Like, all you need to do is move away from that leg. It's only like your foot's like what, 10 inches, so you don't need to move more than a foot away to dodge that. So I love that illustration. Now he's filming again. Yeah, great counters. It's good speed. Nice. I like that. Let's back it up super quick. I like that. This double side kick. Bang. Nice. Oh, it's starting to get beat up a bit. I love that. Classic speed punches. I'm gonna back it up for a second here. What I like about this particular sequence right here is that, you know, a lot of times in high level fighting, you're metagaming the person. So what separates a person from like 6 months of training to 6 years of training isn't necessarily, it's not like the guy up here is doing like a 700-degree tornado kick to knock you out. It's the fact that he can metagame you so much better. And what the Ip Man did here is he's starting to read the side kicks from the, you know, karate style, the American style background. And what he does is nothing fancy about it. He just ducks underneath the leg and pulls up. And you do that in Muay Thai, you can do that in certain Taekwondo rules, you can do that in certain karate. It's simple, right? And it shows us a high level of like skill gap between them without anything crazy fancy, right? It's not like Michael Venom Page doing like a 360 kick, jumping up and knocking a guy out. Like, yes, that means you're very advanced, but at the end of the day, like most advanced fighters, like one of the guys I really train to emulate is Sidichai, Setsung Pinong, and like, you know, when you see him fight in Glory, 90% of his moves are a jab, cross, and a left roundhouse. But it's masterful timing, it's masterful execution. Like, you don't need to get too fancy to show off how much better you are. And look at this. The guy overreaches a side kick, and then he just ducks underneath, right? Grabs the ankle, scoops him up. Oh. Your guy needs to turn out. There you go. Nice. Yes. So, okay. You know what I just said about the roundhouse? So when I was just saying about how, like, you shouldn't block kicks with just like this, just like that, bang, like, because I just don't think it really works. Like, yes, can you physically stop a kick? Sure, but it's just not practical. So watch how Ip Man, the guy's gonna do his downward karate chop again. He puts his arm up just like the way the other guy does, but when it takes contact, he has some give. So he blocks the chop and it dissipates it to his entire body. Watch here. Boom, bang, to impact, brace, and what you're trying to do is dissipate the force, so it's not just going all into your forearm, because you never know because he's the one that's moving, you never know when you're gonna take the fracture and not him, right? So super cool stuff. He goes for a reversal. That's an awesome scene, honestly. This guy started to slow down a bit. Yeah. So he's got the tip of his fingers on his trachea. Now with certain kung fu styles, you actually train your knuckles, the tips of your finger, a little bit different than other arts do, and you can absolutely you can make this these parts of your fingers like really hard, really not sharp, but they feel sharp against your throat. And he's got a perfect parry on that other hand. Good solar plex hit. Yeah, the solar plex hit, trips him, and does like a Superman punch. So when I say Superman punch, you see like Ip Man's arm is going forward, leg back. I call that kind of more Superman mechanic. It replaces a pivot. Very nice stuff. Wait, let's see if I can zoom this in. Look at this guy right over here. Oh my god. Worst cameraman ever. Can you imagine your cameraman being like, ugh. Worst cameraman ever. It's good stuff though, guys. I love this scene. Such a fun scene to watch, and this movie as a whole, I think Ip Man 1 had an amazing story and amazing cinematography overall. This one, the story doesn't hit me as hard, to be honest with you. It's a great immigration story, and I did immigrate to Canada, so it kind of hits me there. It's not the same, but I thought this movie totally holds up. And they got Scott Adkins, and I think this guy's name is something Collins. He also trains in Wing Chun. It's a good movie overall, guys, so definitely check it out. That's it for the reaction, but let's get into the breakdown and their scorecard here. But before I do that, question of the day: which one do you think is more effective today, a karate master or a Wing Chun master? Yeah, I know this movie's been out, but there's been all sorts of style versus style demonstrations and fights that we've seen basically the past 50 years, right? So let me know what you guys think. Karate versus Wing Chun. Let me know in the comments below. Let's get into the breakdown, guys. In terms of realism, I would say I'm gonna give this like an 8, and here's why. All right, so what is realistic about it is with this guy, the karate master, right? When he put away those other masters, I feel like there's a good reason why. Like, again, the first guy is a bit too rounded, bit too like flowy, and then this guy's just like straight to the point, and you can absolutely throw someone off like that. The next guy didn't seem like he had the body conditioning to really be sparring, to be taking real hits. You know what I mean? The girl, she's doing pretty good, but unfortunately just didn't quite have the speed advantage and didn't quite have enough strength and power to do a significant damage. And then Ip Man's kind of a good balance of all that stuff in terms of characters, so that stuff was pretty real. I do think though there's a lot of times here that is this Colin Chu? I don't know this guy's name, but this guy, the karate guy, there's a lot of times where he's kind of leaving his arm open just so that Ip Man or Donnie Yen has a chance to do like a bunch of cool stuff. So there is a couple of seams that you can see. There's a couple of breaks in cinematography, not cinematography, in the choreography here, where Colin Chu is just like, huh, you know what I mean? Like, he's not really, he's no longer being an engaging opponent. He's just a willing participant a few times here. So I wasn't a huge crazy fan of that. And the only other thing I thought was not super realistic is like, so like this guy here, he did really good against those other masters, but at the same time, like even if those masters were like not super effective in terms of damage, like they made this guy seem kind of untouchable. And there's a couple times there where he's taking hits that even if the girl's weaker, even if the guy's weaker or whatever, there should have been a little bit more impact in my opinion. So that for me kind of took away from the realism of the martial arts, because they kind of made this guy too strong until Ip Man steps in to show him up. So there's a few things there that I wasn't like 100% immersed in, but still such a great movie. And in terms of how they execute like a lot of like the side kicks, the punches, the parries, very realistic, you guys. Like 8 is a high score for me, I would say. And in terms of the kung fu stuff, like I don't pretend to be a kung fu expert or anything like that, so I'm not gonna comment on some of the other people. Actually, you know what? Let's give this an 8.5. Let's give it a 0.5 up. Okay, that's the final score. Entertainment factor though, I'm gonna give this a 10. I thought it was a really fun watch, and they do highlight a lot of neat things, again, about the way that you parry. I thought that was super cool, and just like how these Western versus like Eastern martial arts kind of like competitions, or like they're like trying to make a point, or like these demos, like this reminds me totally of the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. So it's just super fun for me to watch. And even though this released, I think, what is this? In 2019, like I think they do a good job of having some of those classical tropes in it with modern day cinematography. So overall, really good scene. That's an easy 10 out of 10 for me. I hope you like the reaction day, guys, or the video. If so, please leave a like, because it means a lot to me. If you subscribe, it means I might see you again, which is awesome. And don't forget to comment below your scorecard, your thoughts, anything I missed I should have talked about, or question of the day, karate versus Wing Chun. I want to hear from y'all at home. That's it for now. Bruce Lee is out. I'll see you next time.